Hello everybody, welcome back. A long second live one of the day because yet again we have an EFL statement and we actually have some movement here. We are really close now. We've had a whole swathe of proposals for potential curtailment, and now the clubs have just got to vote in each of their divisions. But fair play to the EFL, they have revealed what they are, and this is what the clubs are going to be voting on. So let's have a little look at this latest statement. You can find it on the EFL's website. Here we go. The EFL board met yesterday to consider the feedback and subsequent implications of last week's divisional meetings. We didn't get a leak, did we? The EFL actually managed to break this themselves. As the league continues to address the many complex financial and operational matters resulting out of the COVID-19 crisis, including how the 1920 campaign is concluded. Here we go. The various proposals and counter-proposals received from clubs have been reviewed, and as a result, the board has the finalised draft framework. I love the term finalised draft. I know they're trying their best. That would be adopted into EFL regulations in the event that a division is to make the decision to curtail its season, as a League 2 indicated on last Friday. So we're still going to have a vote for each division. If they decide to curtail, this is what will happen, providing that they vote for it. And if not, we play and we stop. This is what will happen. So we get in there. Clubs are now required to give the matter further consideration before the board formally proposes the appropriate regulation changes, which will then have to be voted on by all clubs. Remember, you can't change the rules mid-season without having a vote and the say-so of the clubs. The EFL is a members club. However, we're voting in individual divisions for this. Does League One have an advantage there because they've got an odd number? Probably not. The recommended framework is as follows. Here we go. Number one, resuming the 1920 season with the existing format remains the most appropriate course of action from a sporting integrity perspective. But the board accepts there are circumstances that may lead to curtailment, as has been demonstrated with League 2, or a situation subsequently transpires where the season is unable to conclude. So that's what I said. So this now, all I'm about to read is going to apply to League 2, and if anything happens in League 1, which probably won't, but the Championship, moreover, if we have to stop, there's an outbreak within clubs, if there's a second spike nationally, this is what will happen. Here we go, this is step 2. This means that in the event of an early curtailment, A, final division placing should be determined on unweighted points per game if required. So we went back and forth, everyone worked out weighted for home and away games, and then unweighted. It's going to be unweighted. It says if required. I assume that means if you get 2 games out and Leeds and West Brom are 7 points clear, they're promoted already, if you get what I mean. But get your reactions in the comments on that. So in the event of a curtailment, if they vote to stop, unweighted points per games. B, promotion and relegation should be retained. Promotion and relegation should be retained. Remember, the state of play on this is that the FA had come in as a special shareholder to say it has to happen in the Premier League and the Championship, and then all of a sudden League 2 didn't want to do it and they were going to say that's okay. So this is bad news for Stevenage, is it? Morecambe down there, Macclesfield, if they get more points deducted. That means Bolton and Southend are pretty much gone as well out of League 1. A bit more open in the Championship if they are playing on. Playoffs. This is element C. Playoffs should be played in all circumstances, but should not be extended beyond 4 teams. So Dara McAntony and Marcus Evans and Andy Pilley and whoever the owner of Oxford and Sunderland and whoever else was involved in there, Pompey, are not going to get an extended playoffs. So I need to check the table there in League 1. I think someone already WhatsApped it to me. So the long and the short of it is we're going to get playoffs. They are not going to be extended. So the top 6 of League 1 would be Coventry, Rotherham, Oxford, Wycombe, Portsmouth, Fleetwood via points per game. No Ipswich, no Sunderland in there as well. No Peterborough. Wow, that's not what they wanted. But hey, in the words of Mick and Keith and the Rolling Stones, you can't always get what you want. So playoffs will be played in all circumstances, but should not be extended. So even in League Two, I'm led to believe then that we stop. Playoffs are going to be played. Am I right about that? We'll read on. Or is it? I could be wrong about that. Excuse me. So in the event of an early curtailment, it seems to intimate that you would get playoffs still in League Two. 3. Oh, here we go. Sorry. If a scenario arises where the playoffs cannot be played, the EFL board will determine the appropriate course of action. Okay, so you're going to make a decision, but in case it doesn't happen, we're going to have to make another decision. So that's a very interesting one. So let's work out this scenario. For example, I don't know, let's pull this out of the air. League Two, you are going to do playoffs. We get to the point there where we're going to have them. There's an outbreak in one of the clubs. The contract thing doesn't get sorted out. We haven't got any players. Then the EFL board will determine the appropriate course of action. One would hope if you got to a point where you were arranging playoffs, you had the teams, you had the locations, they were able to lock down for however long, 14 days beforehand and train. Then Charles says Peterborough will be promoted on postal votes. John says if playoffs can't be determined, third place team should go up. That could be what they decide. Playoffs should be played in all circumstances, but if they can't be played, the EFL board will determine the appropriate course of action. We cannot rule that out. Very, very interesting one on playoffs there. Number 4, the board considers that the majority required to curtail the 2019-20 season in any division should be 51%. Determining whether or not to curtail the season is a decision for each division. So each division is going to vote on their own. The indicative sample of League Two says that's going to be curtailed. We think there's probably not enough of the Rebel Alliance to get the 51% in League One, which would be 12 out of the 23, wouldn't it? So that's not likely to happen. How many will we get in the Championship? I can only see, I've heard about 3 or 4, but again, 51%, you'd need 13 Championship clubs to vote against 11 Championship clubs to get this curtailed. Surely all of the top 9 are going to be voting to keep going, and then I don't know. What if they're who knows then? Yeah, what if the bottom 13 all vote against it? There we go. I'm sure that will not happen, but an individual vote in all 3 leagues. Number 5, the principle of relegation across all 3 divisions is integral to the integrity of the pyramid from the Premier League down to the National League, provided we have assurances that the National League will start season 2021, i.e. the relegated club in League 2 has somewhere to play. Relegation will be happening, should be happening. The EFL says this is integral to the pyramid, so we'd assume that goes for the Premier League. Can I rattle these off? Norwich, Villa, Bournemouth, Luton, Barnsley, Charlton, Bolton, Tranmere, are they in it? And Southend, Macclesfield, no, not Macclesfield, Morecambe, and who's right down at the bottom there? Stevenage. All, if there's a curtailment right now, they're going down, and that's going to be voted for today. Eco says, you keep mentioning the word integrity. What part of integrity is playing behind? Eco, I'm just reading the EFL. They keep mentioning the word integrity. How can they do playoffs in League One? Says James. The team in 6th place gets the chance. So I didn't quite see the end of that. Resend that, James, if you don't mind. Number 6, any regulatory solution should be relevant and specific to the current challenges posed by the COVID-19 outbreak and reach a conclusion that is clear and effective with the impact and justifications easy for all stakeholders to understand. And, James has just replied that the team in 6th place get a chance to win 2 games to get promoted when the teams in the Championship get no chance to stay up. We're assuming the Championship's going to play on, so James's point kind of stands that those teams get, that relegation teams don't get a chance to play for survival, but playoff teams do. Hey, they could vote to play on, they can't afford it. Look, I think it's only going to be the 3rd bottom place in League One that is going to be an issue there. But Championship, we're assuming they're going to play on. Someone asked, when did I last go to the barbers? Do you know what? I was booked in the barbers during the lockdown, right in the first couple of weeks. So I missed out big time. But hey, who cares if your hair's down to there or down to there? No one notices. Right, we've got a quote from EFL chair Rick Parry as well. In the event that a divisional decision is made to curtail the 2019-20 season, as we expect it will be in League Two, the EFL board is recommending that the league adopts the original framework with the amendments as identified, as there is a strong desire to remain as faithful as possible to the regulations and ensure there is consistency approach adopted across the EFL in all divisions. Fine. The board has always acknowledged that a single solution to satisfy all clubs would always be hard to find. Fine. But we are at the point now where strong, definitive action is needed for the good of the league and its members. So, let's try and summarise this. I'm only reading it myself for the first time. It was the ABC up there that was the key things. So basically, they're going to try and play on if they vote to play on, okay? If they vote to curtail, this is what's going to happen. We expect that to happen in League Two and most probably League One. Divisional placings will be then determined on unweighted points per game. Promotion and relegation will be retained. Playoffs should be played in all circumstances, not extended. So, as it stands, what we're going to expect to happen, and this is guesswork, we've been wrong about votes before. Look at Trump and look at Brexit. They all went not the way that some people thought they would go. But we're expecting League Two will curtail, which means top two and then some playoffs will be played and the bottom teams will be relegated. League One, we're also expecting to curtail. It should get over 51%. Saying no to playing on, even though those bigger, higher revenue clubs want to do it. So in that instance, it's going to be Rotherham and Coventry. And who did I say was going to be in the playoffs? Excuse me, I'll go back to my WhatsApp feed. Oxford would play Fleetwood in the playoffs. Wickham would play Portsmouth, is what we're expecting to happen. Championship, we are expecting to play on. Obviously, I can't remember the table, it's so long ago. We've got Leeds and West Brom. And at the moment, we've got Fulham would be playing Preston. They're going to play on, likely so. Then we've got big gaps, haven't we? Brentford and Nottingham Forest with Bristol City, Millwall. Jason, I'd have to have a check on the table. Down at the bottom, we've got the three promoted teams, haven't we? Luton, Barnsley, Charlton. Remember, Hull sinking like a stone. Remember, Sheffield Wednesday and Derby could be found guilty of FFP and deducted points. Birmingham are on a second appeal, so watch this space down the bottom. There could be a way out. Also, remember, Luton got rid of their manager a couple of weeks into the lockdown, so they would, if they were going to play on, maybe they weren't expecting to. I think Mick Harford will do it for the rest of the season, but they would be sort of under new management, so to speak. Glenn says Luton have today said going to ask out-of-contract players to stay on and finish the league. On points per game, Wednesday 9 points clear over Charlton. EFL are appealing, not Birmingham. Yes, sorry, actually make that clear. Birmingham were let off by the independent sanctioned people, and the EFL are appealing against them being let off. I think I've got that about right. And it's the second time the EFL have gone back to them. I'm not going to get into the points deductions and whatnot. So that is where we are with the EFL. Remember, there's this lovely get out they've put in there. If a scenario arises where the playoffs cannot be played, so for example, everything has to stop a game, well, they've ring-fenced promotion and relegation, so you're going to get the top two and you're going to get the bottom three up and down. If then those playoffs cannot be played for whatever reason, we've gone too late, contracts have gone crazy, there's a second spike and there's public health and there's more important things, then surely you would think, and I'm speculating after not much thought on this, that they would. You can't have a situation where you're going to promote the top two with points per game and then not do it the same for the next four. So John already suggested it in the chat. Would that then mean third place goes up? We will find out. So votes are going to happen. I do not know the time scale of this. What did it say at the top? Clubs are now required to give the matter further consideration before the board formally proposes the appropriate regulation changes. Look, this, I hope we see something similar for the Premier League, where they say, right, this is what we're voting on. You know, screw your interest and your interest. This is what the whole division is voting for, yes or no. And I think that's quite important. They're pretty clear. Look, they're going to favour some teams. They're not going to favour others. I've said before on here, the "it's not fair" defence doesn't really work anymore. Nothing's fair. The league got cancelled. Players' contracts are going to be up. People are dying. It's not fair. Yes, we know. So they're going to have to do something, and we know that all the contracts that are live and all the money situation means that we can't just mothball it and come back and finish off. It's just not going to work. John says he did read about a 20th of June restart for the Championship. Yeah, we'll see about that. They're likely back on Monday. Remember, Championship clubs testing today and tomorrow, results coming out on Sunday. 0.8% of Premier League, not players, staff, excuse me. So it was, we don't know the exact ins and outs, but it was one player and two staff at Watford, one staff at Burnley. We're not sure about the other three. Jim says, can see Hull going down if we restart. I said this morning on my stream. Somebody's going to come back and lose all their games in the Premier League and in the Championship. What provision have they made for future seasons? I presume they're aware this isn't a one-off. None, I assume, whoever asked that question. I just think they're trying to get to the end of this and then we will see. Plus, does anybody understand the new subs rule? Read it earlier, makes no sense. 5 subs, that's all I know. Trevor says, as a Fulham fan, I want to stay in the Championship. He doesn't want to go up into the Premier League. He's in the FVAR camp. Presumably, it's all right in the Championship when you're on parachute payments, isn't it? Will we see even more than that? Jim says Ipswich should get an honorary promotion. I think Ipswich getting promoted this season would have been like, you know, when a celebrity gets a degree from a university, an honorary one. I think it would have been like that. King Tut says, okay, deal, Fulham fan. David says, as a Brentford fan, we hope you do too. David says, I don't think automatically means a third place. Yeah, we don't know. They've given themselves the jurisdiction. Be interesting to see how it will impact on FFP cases, says Simon. Yes, it would indeed. In theory, Simon, it should have no impact on FFP cases, shouldn't it? The charges are for previous financial years. Remember, financially, we work. You hand your books in at the end of one season for the previous season. That's why we have all our squabbles online, because we don't know what the figures are. Terbotic says, hi Ben, are you all right? Yes, I'm all right. I'm a bit hyper, aren't I? I've had some, I think there's a Pepsi Max somewhere and I'm going through this. Simon agrees, good. That's wonderful. A lot of people don't agree with me. Any more questions, get them in the comments. Any idea what's happening to relegation in League One? Ollie, it's happening. It is, assuming we get the vote, it is definitely happening. John says, wouldn't surprise me once the restart is agreed, we hear about FFP. That wouldn't surprise me either, John. They've probably got the findings but don't want to put them out in COVID. Glenn says, we'll meet you for a beer when you come to Luton next season. I would love to meet you for a beer, Glenn. That'd be lovely. With no fans, will clubs be going bust? Gets points deducted in future. John says, yeah, there's going to be a few on the precipice, aren't they? We will see. Hopefully, this is a strong move. Hopefully, the Premier League follows. Don't ask me when the vote's happening. I don't know. I've probably got the same information as you. I'm sure you're all tapped in on EFL.com as well. One of my most visited websites, I think. In this crisis. So look, loads more information there, loads of good reaction down in the chat. Headline stuff, as I said, promotions and relegations, divisional placings on unweighted points per game. Playoffs should be played in all circumstances, except if they can't. Championship will definitely vote to play top 11, have a chance of promotion. Yeah, that was my thinking, David, in the comments there. You would have to get some pretty unholy alliances being made by now. Samuel says, I look warm, I have been in the garden. Looks like I'm going to be going back to work on June the 1st, so I'll enjoy it while I can. Someone will claim Russian collusion on the vote there. Yeah, obviously a few shady votes in the past years nationally. Right, I think we are there unless there's any more questions coming in. Didn't expect to do a second video today, but hey, we react as we go. Charles says settle the games on the pitch, sorted. That'd be lovely, Charles, if we could. But sounds like at least 1.5 divisions say they can't afford to do that with the testing and contracts, etc. against no revenue. So yeah, we would love to be out on the pitch, wouldn't we? We'd all love to be at games. Someone just text me, my Norwich mate Russ, saying it would have been the playoff finals this weekend. David says, did you say the Championship and League One votes? I don't know when the vote will be, David. All it says is clubs will now give the matter further consideration. Eco says, maybe it'll be like the Premier League holding a gun to your head to get the right vote out. Well, we know that the Premier League influences this greatly, doesn't it? I think it was David who just commented saying 11 teams in League One will definitely vote to play. Yeah, they will vote to play. Why? I'll give you 100 million reasons why. It's called Premier League TV money, and they'll risk life and limb to try and do it safely and get their teams promoted. So yeah, sadly, money talks, and that is the cornerstone of this debate at every stage. If money didn't talk, what Charles says and what I think Eco's hinted at, mothball it, come back when we're ready, but not going to happen. David says, and bottom 3 will vote to play. Well, you would think the bottom 3 of the Premier League, if they... oh, that's a good point, actually. Bottom 3 of the Championship, in theory, are now under pressure to vote for play, because if they don't, they're going to get relegated. I know there's a sense that Luton and Barnsley are quite well structured financially to cope and have bounced. Barnsley particularly have bounced before. I'd be worried about Hull, and everyone's worried about Charlton with the ownership hijinks there. But yeah, you would now think that he's right in the chat there. Top 11 are going to vote to play, and bottom 3 are going to vote to play. So the more you look at it logically, the more it looks like this will go ahead in the Championship. It will be, I guess, 2/3 will vote against it in the League One, including the top 2. You would have thought. That's an interesting point. Yeah, if the bottom 3 will vote to play, surely by that logic the top 2 could vote not to play. But I'm sure we won't open that. How can you try life and limb safely? Yeah, fair point, David. It's me mixing my metaphors then. Benjamin, have I seen the Swindon news? Says Gabrielle Manners. No, I haven't, sir. Please tell me what the Swindon news is. What have they done? If I type Swindon into my Google machine and press news, no, I have no Swindon news. They're going up top. Our chairman is bad, says Gabriel. What's he done? Is he voting against it? Wouldn't be the first time a Swindon chairman was bad. If you can remember back to the early 90s, I remember Swindon, was it 91 or possibly just before Hoddle, wasn't it? Oh, Lee Power, goodness, yeah, okay, fine, yeah. We've been there before, haven't we? Lee Power, chairman tells court that club could face administration after sale block. There you go. Plot thickens up the top in League 2 there as well. Right, I'm going to bid you all farewell. Brilliant viewing figures on this. I feel like BT showing the Bundesliga here. Loads of great chat and great interaction there. Please don't have a pop at my opinions too much in the comments. Literally reading it and responding as I go, getting some feedback from the chat as well. So I will bid everybody farewell. I'll say thank you very much for watching. If you're watching on delay, get your thoughts in on the comments. Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Nick. It's right time to stream. SR Beats says no, don't go. I'm going to have to go. In the words of Supertramp, I really have enjoyed my stay, but I must be moving on. Jonathan says, but if Leeds and West Brom vote against it, it'll be 50%. And those 2 teams will be up. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I suspect there's going to be a lot of owners on the phone to other owners today, and we'll be finding out indicative votes. Thank you to Couchsurfer. Jim says my hometown side Northampton should get in the playoffs. There we go. And who believes in my suggestion as well from earlier? Golden ticket. Open up the hospitality boxes in the stadiums and see if they can make some money back. Surely the government will let people in the hospitality tested and social distanced, and you would make thousands, particularly at Leeds, if they're going to be getting promoted that particular game. But hey, I'm sure it's going to be either all in or out. Thank you, Glenn, who's a Luton guy, isn't he? Right, thank you everybody for watching, and I will bid you all farewell. See you soon.